Yo, what's up my history legends? It's your boy Winston Kootenai here, back with another mind-blowing video. Think you know about war? Think it's all about who's got the most tanks, the biggest bombs? Think again. Some of the most legendary battles were won with straight-up genius tactics, insane strategies that'll make your jaw drop. We're talking about the kind of moves that make you go, wait, they did what? So buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the 10 most insane military tactics that actually worked. And trust me, number 4 is so wild you'll be hitting that subscribe button just to wrap your head around it. Think war is just about who has the biggest guns? Wrong. History's greatest generals won by being sneaky, crazy, or downright genius. Today we count down the 10 most insane military tactics that actually worked. Alright, let's kick things off with the OG masters of warfare, the Mongols. These guys were the ultimate badasses on horseback, but their real secret weapon? Psychology. They knew how to get in their enemies' heads, and they loved to play mind games. Imagine this, you're a soldier, part of a massive army, and you're facing off against the Mongols. Suddenly they charge at you, screaming like demons. You brace for impact, but then, they turn and run. You think, easy win, right? Wrong. That's exactly what the Mongols wanted you to think. They'd lure you in, pretending to be scared, and then, bam! They'd turn around and crush you. They called it the feigned retreat, and it worked like a charm. Take the Battle of Kalka River, for example. The Mongols were outnumbered, but they pulled off this fake retreat, luring the Russian army into a trap. The result? Total annihilation. Next up, we're going all the way back to ancient Greece for a story you've probably heard before, the Trojan Horse. I mean, who hasn't heard about this legendary piece of military deception? It's the ultimate example of keep your enemies closer. Picture this, the Greeks have been trying to conquer the city of Troy for 10 long years. They've thrown everything they've got at those walls, but nothing's worked. So they come up with a plan so crazy, it just might work. They build a giant wooden horse, like seriously massive, and leave it outside the gates of Troy as a supposed gift or offering to the gods. The Trojans, thinking they've won, drag this thing inside their city walls. Big mistake. Little did they know, there were elite Greek soldiers hiding inside that horse, just waiting for nightfall. As soon as the Trojans let their guard down, the Greeks sprung into action, opening the gates and unleashing chaos upon the unsuspecting city. Fast forward to the 20th century and let's talk about a tactic that changed warfare forever. Blitzkrieg! This was Hitler's terrifying brainchild, and it involved hitting your enemies with everything you've got, all at once. Imagine a lightning strike, fast, powerful, and totally unexpected. That's Blitzkrieg in a nutshell. The Germans used tanks, planes, and radios to coordinate their attacks with incredible speed and precision. They'd punch through enemy lines, creating chaos and confusion, and then exploit those weaknesses to achieve their objectives. In 1940, the Germans unleashed Blitzkrieg on France, a country that was still stuck in the mindset of World War I, a war of trenches and slow, grinding battles. The French thought their defenses were impenetrable, but Blitzkrieg proved them wrong. In just 6 weeks, France fell to the Nazis. Chapter 4. The Night Witches. These women terrified the Nazis. Now let's talk about some real heroes, the Night Witches. These were badass female pilots in the Soviet Air Force during World War II, and they struck fear into the hearts of Nazi soldiers. Imagine this, you're a German soldier stationed on the Eastern Front. It's the dead of night, pitch black, and you hear a strange whooshing sound overhead. You look up, but you can't see anything. Then, out of nowhere, bombs start raining down. That, my friends, was the Night Witch's signature move. They flew these outdated, slow-moving biplanes made of wood and canvas. They didn't have radar, no fancy equipment, but they were masters of stealth and precision. They'd cut their engines as they approached their targets, gliding silently through the night sky, invisible to enemy radar. Then, they'd unleash their payload and disappear back into the darkness before the Germans even knew what hit them. The Germans called them Nachthexen Night Witches, because their silent attacks seemed like something out of a nightmare. Chapter 5. The Empty City Bluff. This general had nerves of steel. Let's jump back in time again to ancient China for a story about the ultimate poker face in military history. This is the tale of Zhuge Liang, a brilliant strategist who pulled off one of the most audacious bluffs of all time. Picture this. Zhuge Liang and his forces are vastly outnumbered by their enemies. I'm talking about a seriously lopsided battle here. They're trapped in a city with no hope of escape. and a massive enemy army is approaching, ready to crush them. Most generals would surrender, right? Not Zhuge Liang. He had a plan, a crazy, ballsy plan. He ordered his men to open the city gates wide open. Then he sat himself down on the city walls, grabbed his lute, and started playing a relaxing tune, acting as if he didn't have a care in the world. The enemy general, Sima Yi, arrives at the city, sees the open gates, and hears the music. He's immediately suspicious. He thinks, this has got to be a trap. There's no way they'd leave the city undefended like this. Sima Yi hesitates, his mind racing, trying to figure out Zhuge Liang's game. In the end, he decides it's too risky to attack. He orders his troops to retreat, convinced that Zhuge Liang has a massive hidden army waiting to ambush them. Chapter 6: Hussite War Wagons, Medieval Tanks. Now let's journey to 15th century Europe for a story about underdogs, innovation, and some seriously badass war machines, the Hussite war wagons. These things were like the medieval version of tanks, and they allowed peasant armies to go toe-to-toe with heavily armored knights. Imagine this, you're a peasant farmer, armed with nothing but a pitchfork and a dream, facing off against a charging wall of steel, knights in full armor, mounted on horseback. Sounds like a recipe for disaster, right? But the Hussites, a religious group in Bohemia, modern-day Czech Republic, weren't about to go down without a fight. They came up with a game-changing invention, the war wagon. These were heavily fortified wagons, chained together, forming a mobile fortress. They were armed with cannons, crossbows, and even primitive handguns. As the knights charged in, the Hussites would unleash a devastating volley of fire from their mobile fortresses. Horses went down, knights were thrown from their saddles, and the once impenetrable armor of the nobility was pierced by peasant ingenuity. The Hussite war wagons were a symbol of defiance, showing that even the most outmatched opponents could overcome the odds with innovation and determination. They turned the tide of war, proving that sometimes the best defense is a good offense, on wheels. Chapter 7: Vietnam's Tunnel Rats. The most terrifying job in history? Let's fast forward to the Vietnam War, a conflict that took jungle warfare to a whole new level of terrifying. And no one had it tougher than the US soldiers, who volunteered for a truly harrowing task. The Tunnel Rats. Imagine this. You're a soldier in the humid, dense jungles of Vietnam. You know the enemy is out there, but you can't see them. They're hiding underground in a vast network of tunnels that stretch for miles. Your mission? Go down there and flush them out. These tunnels were like underground cities, complete with living quarters, hospitals, even booby traps and hidden trapdoors. The Viet Cong were masters of this subterranean domain, using it to their advantage to ambush American patrols and disappear like ghosts. The Tunnel Rats had the most dangerous job in the war. Armed with just a pistol, a flashlight, and nerves of steel, they'd crawl into these claustrophobic tunnels, knowing that death could be lurking around every corner. They faced off against booby traps, poisonous snakes, and of course the Viet Cong themselves, who would often pop up out of hidden compartments ready for a close-quarters fight. The Tunnel Rats were the unsung heroes of the Vietnam War, facing unimaginable horrors in the darkness below. Their bravery and sacrifice are a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure even in the most extreme conditions. They were the true warriors of the underground. Chapter 8: Drone Swarms, the scary future of war is here. Now let's talk about the future of warfare, and it's looking pretty wild. Drones are changing the game, and we got a glimpse of their devastating potential in the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Imagine this, you're a soldier on a modern battlefield, but instead of facing tanks and infantry, you're up against a swarm of drones, hundreds of them, filling the sky like angry bees. They're small, they're fast, and they're packing some serious firepower. That's what happened in Nagorno-Karabakh. Azerbaijan deployed swarms of cheap, commercially available drones armed with missiles and bombs. They wreaked havoc on Armenian tanks, artillery, and troop concentrations. What's even crazier is that these drones are incredibly cost-effective. Why risk sending expensive tanks and soldiers into battle when you can achieve the same results with a swarm of drones that cost a fraction of the price? The rise of drone warfare is a game-changer, and it's raising a lot of questions about the future of conflict. One thing's for sure, the battlefield of the future is going to be a lot more automated and a lot more terrifying. Chapter 9: The Ghost Army. They fooled Hitler with inflatable tanks. Back to World War II for a story that proves sometimes the best weapon is a good illusion. Meet the Ghost Army, a top-secret unit in the US Army that specialized in deception, using inflatable tanks, sound effects, and good old-fashioned trickery to fool the Nazis. Imagine this. You're a German reconnaissance unit, scouting ahead of the main army. You spot a massive American encampment in the distance. Tanks, artillery, thousands of troops. You report back to HQ, warning them of a major enemy presence. But there's a catch. The entire encampment is a fake. The tanks are inflatable decoys. The troop movements are just a handful of guys driving trucks around in circles, and the radio chatter is being broadcast by loudspeaker. That was the Ghost Army's specialty, creating the illusion of a much larger force, deceiving the enemy, and diverting their attention away from the real Allied offensives. They were like the magicians of the battlefield, using misdirection and sleight of hand to outsmart the enemy. They were so good at their jobs that they saved countless Allied lives. Chapter 10. Cyber Warfare, the Invisible War for Our Future. For our final entry, we're diving into the world of ones and zeros, where the battlefield is made of code, and the weapons are viruses. Welcome to the age of cyber warfare. Imagine this. You're not sending soldiers across borders, you're not firing missiles. Instead, you're unleashing lines of code, infiltrating enemy computer systems, shutting down power grids, disrupting communications, even sabotaging critical infrastructure. That's the reality of cyber warfare, and it's happening right now. One of the most well-known examples is the Stuxnet virus, a joint US-Israeli operation that targeted Iran's nuclear program. This wasn't some random computer virus. Stuxnet was a sophisticated piece of malware designed to subtly sabotage Iran's uranium enrichment centrifuges, setting back their nuclear program without them even realizing they were under attack. Cyber warfare is the new frontier of conflict, and it's happening silently, invisibly in the digital realm. It's a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, and the stakes are only getting higher as our world becomes increasingly reliant on technology. Outro: which insane tactic blew your mind? From ancient battlefields to the digital age, we've seen some truly mind-blowing military tactics. It just goes to show that when it comes to warfare, brains can be just as powerful as brawn. Which tactic did you find the most insane? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, hit that like button if you enjoyed this wild ride through military history. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you're subscribed because we've got a ton of awesome content coming your way. From fake retreats to AI drones, one thing's clear. The best warriors don't just fight harder, they fight smarter. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and check out my video on craziest spy missions, link below.